Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where I help guide you along your wellness journey towards a more holistic and more natural way of not only living, but also healing as well too. And in today's session, we're going to talk about eight ways that you can actually reverse your biological age. Okay. I know a lot of people think that I'm talking about Botox, or maybe I'm talking about going to get a facelift, hormone therapy. I'm not talking about any of that kind of stuff. Everything done naturally. You could actually reverse your biological age. Now, we first need to distinguish between chronological age and biological age. Now, your chronological age, I can't do anything. I don't have the kind of divine power to do anything about your chronological age, okay? But if you want to age like fine wine, both internally and externally, then that's what I'm talking about today. And more specifically, when it comes to the biological age, what I'm talking about is having the ability to lower the age, the function, the optimization of your tissues, your cells, okay? So not only talking about regenerating and reversing the age inside internally, but what's beautiful about that is going to be an outer reflection, meaning reversing your biological age is going to make you look chronologically younger, okay? Now, the best example I have for that is me. This year, I will be 45 years younger, old, depending on how you want to look at it. And I could tell you at this age, I'm still playing basketball, just played basketball this morning. Everybody I played against was less than half my age, okay? So young enough to be my children. And I can tell you that none of them would have ever believed, especially after we played, none of them would have ever believed that was my age. I often get people thinking I'm in my late 20s. And I'll tell you, I recently did a test to test my biological age. And my biological age is 31, okay? My chronological age is 45. My biological age is 31. My goal is to get that down to 25, okay? Now, why is that a goal for me, okay? It's not from the standpoint of vanity, okay? It's from the standpoint that I want to not only age gracefully, but I want to age gracefully, not only in how I look, but how I function and how I perform as well too, okay? And for us to be able to do that on a cellular level, we have to be youthful, okay? So that's the whole purpose of this conversation today, is for us to focus on what makes us youthful internally, because there's so many things that we do today that age us very quickly. There are kids that I see today who are 16 years old, and I think that they're in their 30s. Okay, so this isn't just a conversation for, people who are aging and they're at retirement age. It's not a conversation for just those anymore. I'm seeing people in their teens and people in their early 20s who look 40. Okay, so this is a conversation for everybody. And again, the most beautiful thing about what we're about to talk about, the biggest benefit, is that as you reverse your biological age, it's an outer reflection. You get the benefits of looking chronologically younger. Okay, so that's the biggest benefit of all of this. Not only do you, get to look good inside and outside, but also you get to prevent disease. Okay, reverse disease in many cases as well too. So you get to break a lot of those, what I would call generational chains of diabetes, hypertension, stroke, autoimmune condition, cancers, etc. All of these things will be beneficial for all of that. All right. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. Number one, okay. Again, I'm giving you 8 ways you can begin to reverse your biological age. Again, which is the age of your tissues and cells on a cellular level. Because if we look at the cell individually, as they begin to look older, okay, they're just like us. They start to lose their function. And as they lose their function, you start to notice that their DNA starts to get damaged. And as their DNA starts to get damaged, other organelles start to get damaged as well too. The nucleus, the Golgi apparatus, so many things get damaged. And these are the kind of cells that turn into cancerous cells. Okay, so this is what I'm telling you today. Again, it is not just about vanity. This is about how you age gracefully, how you reverse your biological age, and how you reverse your chronological age in terms of your appearance. All right, so number one, you have to reduce what are called AGEs. Okay, and this isn't me trying to tell a joke, even though, pun intended, AGEs or ages or whatever you want to call them, they are advanced glycation end products. Okay, how are they created? They're created in the body when we consume refined sugar or unhealthy carbs. Those unhealthy carbs or refined sugars then combine with proteins and fats, and they create these advanced glycation end products or AGEs. Okay, these AGEs increase inflammation, they increase oxidative stress, and overall, they just age you. These are the things that are making you have bags under your eyes. These are the things that are causing you to have wrinkles, your skin to be all loose and not tight and elastic. Okay? These are the things that are causing you to end up with dis-ease as well too. Many of chronic diseases are actually very connected to AGE or advanced glycation products. Okay? Not only that, they make the blood very clumpy and thick, which increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, strokes, and heart attacks. Okay? And the best way to describe the overconsumption of sugar and animal-based products as well too are included in the things that increase AGEs in the body is diabetes. Diabetes is the perfect example of what it looks like internally, except you get an external picture when you have diabetes. When somebody has diabetes, they get this skin condition known as acanthosis. Okay, that's when the skin looks all dark, it looks all velvety, it sort of looks discolored. Okay, usually around the folds in the body, around the neck, the elbow, under the arms, in the groin area, you start to see this acanthosis. So the skin starts to look very velvety, wrinkly, okay? You start to see that person age. You start to see that person's muscle break down. We'll talk about muscle a little bit later, okay? So that initially with diabetes, they gain weight, but then you start to see them waste away, okay? That's these AGEs that I was talking about. That's what happens over time with sugar. You start to see that tissues start to break down. It's not just muscles. Okay, so you see people with diabetes start to have kidney disease and then they end up on dialysis. You start to see that they have issues like amputations, okay, from necrosis. You start to see that people with diabetes are one of the number one causes of blindness as well too. And so you start to see all of these things happen very quickly with somebody with diabetes that typically happens over time with somebody as they age. As they age, they start to lose their sight. As they age, they lose their muscle. All of these are things that are very sort of representative of what we think we're supposed to, or what is supposed to happen as we age. But the truth of the matter is that we're just speeding up the process by increasing these AGEs. So the number one thing you need to do is decrease the amount of sugar and refined carbohydrates like breads and pastas that you're putting in your diet. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, number two, build muscle. Okay, I just talked about this. When you're increasing your AGEs, it's eventually going to cause you to have muscle wasting. Okay, the person may actually gain weight in many cases, but if we were to do a body composition, we would notice that they gain weight, but they gain more fat and lost muscle in the process. Okay? So one of the best things that you could do, not only for your overall health, but to reverse your biological age, is to build more muscle. Okay? Because muscle in and of itself is a metabolism machine. This is where all the sugar is processed. Okay? This is where the sugar is stored, in the muscle. Okay, so when you take it, when you have enough muscle to be able to process the sugar, one, and then secondarily to be able to store the sugar, and then you have healthy tissues, okay, this is going to be very conducive for you to help not only look good physically, but also from an internal standpoint to control your metabolism as well too. And so what you want to do is increase your resistance training ratio to cardio. Okay, so I see a lot of people who love to do cardio. Okay, so I would increase the ratio of how much resistance training that you're doing with weights, body weights, etc. to the cardio, because I cannot tell you, and this is not me saying that cardio is bad, but what I'm saying is that I see people all the time who run 10Ks and marathons, half marathons, who have heart attacks. As a matter of fact, the guy who broke the 4-minute mile, Roger Bannister, died of a heart attack, okay? Was in great shape when he had the heart attack, okay? So it's just really, really important to understand building muscle is not only critical to our overall health because it helps to control our metabolism, but it's also very critical to helping to reverse and keep our age at a lower state as well too. So hugely important. And the other thing that I think is important and many people don't know is that muscle is the organ of longevity. Okay. When you're able to see somebody who's in their 80s, like I did when I lived in Okinawa, Japan, see somebody who's in their 80s and their 90s, they're still riding a bike, climbing up hills, climbing into trees to grab fruit, doing farm work, and you can see the muscle tone in their body. This is why Okinawans live to the age that they live to, okay? Building muscle, hugely important. And as I saw in the study, as older adults increase their muscle mass, they saw a decrease in all causes of mortality. And I'll tell you, one of the number one causes of mortality for older women is hip fractures, okay? But if you got strong bones, quite often it's the weak muscles that lead to the fall, okay? And it's also the diet that leads to the weak bones, which we'll talk about in just a second. But it's hugely important to understand as you increase muscle, you decrease your risk for all causes of mortality, meaning every cause of death, the risk goes down as you increase your muscle. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3, you have to have a high antioxidant, anti-inflammatory diet, okay? Why is that important? Because most of everybody's diet today is highly inflammatory. And the more inflamed the body is, most conditions, most chronic diseases begin with inflammation, okay? Most of them begin with inflammation. So if you can have a diet that doesn't cause inflammation, that is actually anti-inflammatory, and then you can add on a high concentration of antioxidants. And oxidation is rust. That's rusting, that's aging. So a diet high in antioxidants that is basically anti-rusting to you, then you stand a chance of aging gracefully, essentially. Okay, so what does a diet like that look like? That diet looks like a whole foods nutrition diet. That means that there's nothing processed about it. Okay, that means that it's only one ingredient. That means, for example, berries, high in antioxidants. That means herbaceous and cruciferous vegetables. Okay, an example would be dandelion leaves, or it could be arugula. Okay, in terms of like vegetables in that way. Okay, so that's hugely important. It also means implementing healthy fats, because healthy fats have omega-3s. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory as well too. And then exotic fruits. You guys have seen on the channel where I bring on soursop, for instance, which has been shown in many clinical trials to be anti-cancerous, okay? The reason why it's anti-cancerous, antibacterial, antiviral is because of its high antioxidant load, okay? So eating fruits that are actually high in antioxidants is very helpful as well too. So that's number 3. Number 4 is adequate and high quality sleep. And don't sleep on this one. All right. Adequate, enough sleep, high quality sleep, meaning that you go into deep sleep. These things are very important. If you're waking up throughout the night, if you're having a problem going to sleep, if you're going to sleep late and then waking up too early, these are going to be problematic because this puts a stress on the body. So it's really important to understand sleep is not only important for your overall health, but it's also important for your overall aging as well, too. All right, hugely important. One night of poor sleep makes the brain appear 1 to 2 years older when we look at it on the scan. Okay, just one night of poor sleep. And to define what one night of poor sleep is, sleeping like 4 hours. Okay, that makes your brain on the scan looks 1 to 2 years older. Okay, the other thing is, whenever you have just one night of poor sleep, it decreases the amount of natural killer cells. Natural killer cells are part of our immune system. They're part of the immune system that when it sees cancer, it goes and gobbles up the cancer like Pac-Man. Okay? One night of poor sleep decreases your natural killer cells by 72%. Okay? So when we start to look at the number one cause of disease, all right, cardiovascular disease, rooted by inflammation. Whenever you don't sleep well, inflammation goes up in the body. It goes up in the brain as well, too. But more importantly, whenever you don't sleep well, it suppresses your immune system, okay, in terms of decreasing your natural killer cells by 72%. This opens you up to infection. This opens you up also to cancer as well, too. Hugely important. And the other thing I think is important as well, too, one night of poor sleep ages you by 0.23. That's almost a quarter. It ages you by 3 months. So imagine if you had a whole week, 7 days, okay? 7 days of poor sleep, okay? You start to age yourself by years already, okay? Imagine that throughout the year, all right? So this is why sleep is so important. And so the best advice I can give to you is create a sleep routine and stick to it. All right, if you're saying you're going to bed at 8:30, go to bed at 8:30. All right, like clockwork. Your body will actually get used to it. In the beginning, you probably won't go to sleep, but you will eventually. And eventually, your body will get adjusted, especially if you have good sleep habits, and you will start to go to bed within 5 minutes of you laying in the bed, okay? Especially if you don't do any work in the bed, you don't have TVs, you're not looking at your device, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I think is important is don't eat 4 hours before bedtime. Okay, the more you extend that period of not eating before bedtime, the better. Okay, it's going to increase your sleep efficiency greatly. Okay, so that's hugely important. Number 4. Number 5, periodic fasting is hugely important if you want to reverse your biological age. All right, here's why fasting is so critical if you want to reverse your biological age. After about 17 hours, 17 hours of fasting, your body goes into a state known as autophagy. Autophagy is intracellular cleanup, removing old damaged cells and organelles and components. Okay? These old damaged cells, okay, could be your liver. These old damaged cells could be part of your gut. These old damaged cells could have damaged DNA, and that cell eventually could turn cancerous, okay, turn into a cancerous cell. So whenever you go through this fasting period, it goes into autophagy and starts cleaning out these cells, these old senescent cells, getting rid of them, okay? Replacing them with new cells, even on the skin, making the skin look younger, making the internal organs look be younger as well too. All right, so autophagy is hugely important for that reason. Fasting also reverses aging inside and out. So when you fast, you'll notice that your skin looks different. Your eyes look different, okay? Your body feels different, all right? You'll also notice that it decreases the immune system aging as well too. So it improves the immune system. It decreases insulin resistance, okay? We talked about that earlier. We're having issues with the blood sugar, okay? So it decreases insulin resistance so you can be able to process sugars better and faster, okay? It decreases liver fat as well too. That way you can detoxify the body much better as well too. And then the other thing is it improves cardiovascular health whenever you go through these fasting periods, okay? So I do periodic fasting at least once every other, maybe every other week. Well, I'll do a 48-hour fast, and I do intermittent fasting just about every day, okay? So that's how I made it part of my routine, all right? Number 6, if you want to reverse biological aging, you got to figure out how to stimulate stem cells. Now, stem cells isn't something you need to go to your doctor and buy, okay? Stem cells can be rejuvenated, produced in your body, in the bone marrow. It could be reproduced in your body. That's the most important thing you need to know, all right? And why are stem cells so important? Because stem cells regenerate damaged tissue, okay? So even if you look older right now, all right, these stem cells come in and change the whole game. This is why we can lose up to 2/3 of our liver, okay, and regenerate the entire liver. Stem cells, okay? This is why a shoulder that has had 4 or 5 surgeries, or a hip that's had 4 or 5 surgeries, get some stem cells, automatically, all the pain gone, all the inflammation gone as well too. They also use stem cells with sickle cell now, autoimmune conditions, and even blood cancers, okay, like leukemia, okay? So stem cells are hugely important, but we don't do things to actually stimulate stem cells. Our lifestyles today don't cause our body to produce stem cells, okay? So regular exercise, consistent exercise can stimulate stem cells. Optimizing your vitamin D. Again, I always say this for people of color, melanated people, because 76% of melanated people have deficient vitamin D levels, okay? So if 76% have deficient vitamin D levels, when it's time for the body to regenerate, guess what? If your vitamin D levels are low, okay, it will reduce your ability to make stem cells. Hugely important as well too. Pomegranate, okay? Pomegranate helps to stimulate stem cells. Here's a few foods. And also cacao, okay? Not the cacao that has all the junk in it, but get real cacao. I think I did a video on here where I showed you guys the cacao we grow on the farm, okay? So hugely important. Cacao, not the stuff you get, you know, unless it's 100% cacao, all right? You get some 100% cacao nibs, that'll be very helpful. But the fruit cacao, okay, this is what goes back to the exotic fruits that I was talking about in number 3, high antioxidant levels, all right? It will help to regenerate stem cells, okay? That's number 6. Number 7, and this is a big one, especially for the ladies. I mean, even for the fellas too, because the fellas hide this very well. Stress management. One of the ways, if you want to age yourself prematurely, okay, stress, okay? A lot of people's stress today is people being in other people's business, okay? I'll tell you, let me give you a few examples. When somebody is acting out, and let's say they're acting out towards me, that is none of my business, okay? All right? If somebody, you know, I come into work and somebody, you know, says something crazy to me, that is none of my business, okay? If I'm on my way home, somebody cuts me off, okay? As long as they didn't hit the car, that is none of my business, okay? I think we get too entangled into other people's business and we don't focus on what we can control. Most importantly, focusing on what we can control. And what can we control? Our response to life. We can't control life, but we can control our response to life, most importantly. So stress management is hugely important. Developing some stress management techniques and coping mechanisms, but also implementing some techniques like meditation as well too, which has been shown to improve not only stress levels, but also reduce aging as well too. Adding in meditation, hugely important. The other thing I think is important is it reduces inflammation in the body, because that's what stress causes. It causes inflammation because it produces stress hormones, Okay, so that's hugely important. It also causes DNA damage, which I talked about earlier due to oxidative stress. Okay, so adopting meditation and then adopting the Hakuna Matata lifestyle. Okay, it's a worry-free lifestyle. All right, I'm only focusing on what I can control. What I can't control is none of my business. Okay, I am choosing peace. Okay, I'm not choosing violence. I'm not choosing stress. I'm not choosing retaliation. I'm choosing peace. Okay, and that will add years to your life, but also reverse your biological age as well too. And then lastly, number 8. Okay, number 8. Number 8 is eliminate and greatly reduce your toxic load. Okay, because heavy metals, acidity, toxicity, microplastics, pesticides, all of the food chemicals, all the chemicals that are in our soaps, our lotions, our hair conditioners, all of these things are aging you. Your body is not only trying to figure out what to do with it, how to get rid of it, what it is, but your body is also trying to figure out, how do I navigate this whole entire existence that has never existed with all these chemicals? How do I remain healthy with this toxic load? Okay, because our ancestors didn't have the exposure that we have today. Okay, so it's hugely important to understand you have to have a routine when it comes to detoxification and avoidance of toxins. Okay, so you got to stay out of the drive-through window. And there are no food places that have safe food, that have toxin-free food, that have drive-through windows. I'm just being honest with you. Okay, so you got to avoid toxins at the grocery store. You got to avoid toxicity when you go to the dentist. You got to avoid toxicity when you go to the swimming pools because it's littered with all that chlorine. Okay, so toxicity avoidance, but also regular detoxification. I know a lot of you joined my 30-day group detox program before. A lot of you have done my 14-day detox, my 28-day detox. Got rid of the parasites, got rid of the yeast, got rid of the heavy metals, got rid of all the mucus, got rid of all the waste in the body, and you feel and look different by the end of it. Okay, so and this is just one of the 8 that I gave you that literally most people, when they do the detox, they not only feel like a new person, they look like a new person. Okay, when you take all that toxic load out of the body, okay? But it's also toxins like alcohol and tobacco as well too, because both of those age you, okay? Alcohol ages you, tobacco ages you, okay? So hugely important. So those are the 8. Those are the 8 ways that you can reverse your biological age. Can't touch the chronological age, but you can look younger than what you are. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's session. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this with somebody that you think you can change their life, somebody you love, because caring is sharing. And then I'll see you in the next video. Until the next time, peace and blessings and Godspeed.